everyone. Welcome to History with Hersafat. I'm your host, Chris, aka Hersafat. Today on the podcast, we'll be discussing what it's like to be a working individual in the United States and the various highs and lows that come with that. The views shared on this podcast come from your everyday, ordinary people. My hope is that it'll give you a unique perspective on history. For future podcasts, we're going to be doing the new decade of the 1970s when working on the intros and stuff like that this past weekend. Should be fun. We plan to get it out here in the next week and a half or so. So I look around the 15th of November, we should have the first year of the 1970s out for you. So look forward to that. And those for those that listen to our podcast via Spotify, Apple, or Spreaker, we also have a YouTube channel showcasing a number of top-notch videos highlighting some borderline funny moments from our podcast for your viewing pleasure. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Your support is greatly appreciated. Back again, we have Nick and John. Hello.
Hello.
Hey,
Hey,
been a
how's it
long
going,
time.
guys? Yeah, it's been a while.
hmm
It's good to have you back on here. All right. We don't do the weird news for the week. Sorry for people that look forward to that. We do we save that gem for our history or years in review. So we're just gonna jump right into it. We've This will be the second volume, I guess we're gonna put in the
hmm
What's the Deal with Work series we've been doing. The first episode I thought went really well, and
Yeah.
yeah, it's gotten some good feedback. And with us we have John, who's going to talk to us today about his job history and the many pitfalls and you know, all the good stuff that happens when you're a working person in the United States. So John, good to have you back. We're going to talk to you about I don't know, your first job. Yeah. What was your first job? Do you remember your title, duration, how long you were there? What was
Um,
your wage?
so back in the, time of the dinosaurs.
Humans didn't live with dinosaurs.
Well, I know Mom signed me up to do. She's like, "You want to do corn detasseling?" And I was like, "Yeah,"
Oh God.
because I was like 15 or something like that. And we went and we did the whole sign up thing, and I never went. Not once. Not once. I was like, when they're like describing what it is I was gonna have to do, I was like, I have to do what?
Yeah.
In the heat?
Yeah.
I'm good. I'll stay at home and play Final Fantasy or something. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It was
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
so yeah, so that was my first, quote unquote thing that I signed up to do a job for,
You didn't even
but never
show up.
did. I never showed up.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
great start.
Yeah. What about
Nothing
tax?
repeats itself.
What about your first
Um,
tax job?
My first actual job where I actually made money, got a paycheck, and then had
And
to
paid
do
Uncle Sam.
taxes. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
was good old McDonald's up in Westville
Yeah.
when I had just turned 16, I think it was. Yeah,
Oh yeah.
and I have been working since. Now I've had some couple of years where things weren't great or it didn't work as much or the entirety of the time, but basically since then I've been working.
Yeah.
hmm
And I'm 42 or almost 42 now, so um it sucks.
Got another 35 years.
Yeah, I look at it like literally by the time I was making this conversation with mom a couple of months ago, well, a couple of weeks ago. Is when it's all said and done, I'll be have working for like 50 years of my life, and
hmm
it's actually kind of depressing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um
Yeah.
hmm
and honestly, my generation, our generation, you guys are a few years younger than me. Uh,
10. I'm a decade younger than you, but sure.
yeah. Just gotta mark that one there so everyone knows.
Yeah.
Uh,
You're 8 years. What are you talking about? Right?
yeah, yeah.
Are- Wait,
When?
you weren't
No,
born
you were
in
born in
81.
91, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was born in 83, bud.
I was close.
Oh yeah,
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 that's not far from a decade.
Not
yeah,
fun. Yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
It's only 2 years or
Um,
so. Yeah, go on.
Yeah.
so yeah, no, but I was having a conversation with her that, it's 50 years by the time I'm all said and done. My generation's not going to be able to retire.
No.
There is as morbid and as depressing as this sounds, I'm far more likely to die while at work
Yeah.
than actually see
Yeah.
retirement. So,
Yeah.
um, but
You...
all that aside, yeah, I did the McDonald's thing. Um,
It just
yeah,
goes right
yeah,
back.
we're just gonna circle back. We're front loading the emotional damage. So by the time this is over, you guys feel better about the whole thing.
You're like Matt Foley's like motivational speaker.
Right. Oh, man.
This
Yeah.
is your version of that.
Yeah,
Oh,
you'll be
Foley,
living in a van. That actually sounds.
You're going to
nice
work
right
for
now.
50 years and die on the job. So
my
anyway,
first
I worked at
job was-
McDonald's. So
But yeah, no, I worked there I don't know, the better part of a year, and I was very part-time. And there was a couple of times where I was supposed to work like after school, and I said, "Mom, I don't want to go to work." She's like, "Okay, call off then." And I said, "Yeah," and then I did, and then we had some vehicle issues, and I wasn't able to make it up there anymore, and I just stopped showing up. I did a whole, what's his name from Office Space. I said, I'm just not gonna
Yeah.
go,
yeah.
and so I showed up there, at some point, and people knew me, and they're like, "Oh, hey," and I was like, "Yeah, so sorry about that. I just kind of quit." They're like, "We just figured, when you stopped showing up," and I was like, "Okay, cool."
Do you
Um,
remember how much you got paid?
oh dear, bare ass minimum wage, which at the time was a whole $5.15 an hour.
Wow,
Wow, man.
515. And so you didn't have a vehicle. Your mom and dad drove you, right?
Yes. Well, I mean, I had a permit, so like I would
Hmm.
drive and she would sit in the side seat or
Gotcha.
whatever.
Right,
Okay.
right.
And
See,
then,
I remember when you applied to that job, or at least had an interview, I think it was. I
yeah.
rode with you and Dad went and got a meal for himself. I didn't get anything. He just went and got himself a value
That
meal and
sounds
ate
like
the
that.
whole thing. I just sat in the back and waited for
Probably
it. And
ate it in front of you like it's so
yeah, he
good.
did. He
Where's
went
your
back to the
burger?
car. Yeah. And just ate. He didn't even ask if I wanted anything. He just
Um,
got some food. Anyway,
Bill
uh,
Bill Regula worked there,
yeah, he
and
did.
he actually drove me back and forth a handful of times there when we did that. So
Okay.
we did
So
some
sorry.
closing things together. So,
Yeah. So I was going to ask us, so we're trying to keep this on task here as much as we can, because
uh-huh.
there's like sections where you can just go off and tell crazy stories and stuff like that.
Sure,
But
sure, sure.
okay. So for first memories, your first day, do you remember your first day at all? Is it too far gone now? You couldn't. First day at McDonald's.
The only thing I remember from my first day there was that the uniform was goofy as hell because it was like, mid 90s, like multicolored horridness. And I went there and the one person said, "Hey, I need you to go to the meat freezer and go get some meat." Or something like that, or the meat basement, or something like that. And they, of
Meat
course, didn't
basement.
have that. So it was
Oh,
one of those
yeah.
things where they were
Oh,
like, "Oh, you, gotta make you
Right,
go get it." So I went and asked the man, like the GM that was there, and I was like,
right.
"I was told I need to go to the meat basement," and she just started laughing. She's like, "Don't pick on him." She's like some like sassy black lady that I, met like once,
Yeah,
but it was funny. But
right.
embarrassing as a young kid, but it was funny.
For sure.
do you remember your first time meeting someone from work, someone you didn't know, perhaps? Like your very first, like, coworker that like stuck to you. You're like, oh yeah, like you kind of were like friends in a way,
Well,
maybe, if you had one.
I don't remember the dude's
Yeah, it's all
name
right. All right.
whatsoever, but I do remember a guy, and I do remember that I I was I was trained to work in the like the grill area, right? And we were just getting carried away because we were kids and we're joking around, and we'd stamp on our feet down, and be like, "Oh my God, you see the size of that one?" Like really loud.
Oh
and
geez.
and so they didn't let me work with him in the back anymore. But it was funny. We had a good time.
Yeah,
I remember like working mornings a lot and making breakfast and stuff.
yeah. Okay. Do you have any like okay, so we got funny stories, moments, events that happened during your first job. Your first job,
Mhm.
anything of that sort.
Um,
If you don't, it's quite all right. We can
Other
I
move on.
other
mean,
than what you just told us.
other than what I told you, no, I
Yeah.
can't think of anything else.
Gotcha.
It's like those brain cells are dying. Like that's a
I
long
get you.
time ago.
I wonder, doing this bullet point here that I'm trying to get out questions here because it seems like it's funny because I'm the same way. We'll just go off on a tangent about stories and things when you ask them like,
Hmm.
what was your first
Yeah,
job? And like the third one down is funny stories, moments. So we've
right.
already
Right.
covered that. Yeah.
Right.
So
Sorry.
is there anything that you struggled with at work? Do you remember like when you were first working like McDonald's? Did you struggle with anything there? Or was it all pretty much this is kind of cake?
So back then they didn't have the fancy touchscreen technology that we have nowadays. So like,
Hmm.
all of the buttons were like people had to like pre-program them in, and they just had like handwritten things on it.
Oh
It
God.
was
Right.
the yeah,
Oh
or
yeah.
pictures, if
Pictures,
it was
yeah.
something
Yeah.
new.
Yep.
And so you had to remember where everything was on the register. And I think that was the hardest part for me was doing that bit.
Is there anything that came easy to you at work? Like something that made you feel like, yeah, I'm good at my job, that sort of thing. I can
Uh,
make a mean burger.
I was good at sweeping and mopping.
Yeah.
I did a lot of that. So,
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, we'll move on from your worst from your first job. Would you if you had like something to pick like your hardest job, what would you think your hardest job was?
my hardest job?
The hardest job you ever had. Could be mentally, physically, could be both.
Um,
If you don't, that's all right. There's
well,
not like
yeah,
necessarily
let
an
me
answer.
think about it here, as I've been through.
Yeah.
Hmm.
For me, my hardest
Um,
job was the millwrights.
Right.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
For me, I think the
Um,
most physically demanding job was the loading trucks.
yeah. Um, I don't know. Working at like the retail bit when you have to move a bunch of like pallets and stuff around, like,
Oh yeah.
Yep.
that was, but I was much younger back then, so it wasn't. I mean, I think about it now, I'd die if I tried to do that stuff.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
as far as mentally draining, I mean, all fast food can be quite mentally draining. I did a
Oh
lot
yeah.
of that when I
Oh
was
yeah.
younger, and then regrettably some in my early mid 20s. Um, but the job that I have now, which if I should tell you, unless you want me to wait for later.
Um,
Um,
no, I mean
Well,
this is
if
kind
it
of yeah,
pertains to
yeah.
yeah,
yeah.
so I'm a what's called a direct support professional. I work with people that have mental and physical handicap. I take care of them in a group home setting,
Mhm.
and we have gone in the house that I'm currently at. We've gone from people that were really low functioning, where you had to take care of them every need that they had, be it feeding, medication, changing
Mhm.
them, bathing them, et cetera, et
Mhm.
cetera. All that stuff is really physical because
Yeah.
you're moving human bodies, and people that don't have any type of like way to move themselves are just dead weight. If you've ever tried to move anybody who's dead weight, that's rough.
Yeah.
Um, so, but and
Tried to
then on the
move
flip
Nick
side of
once.
it, yeah, on the flip side of it, um, I'm dealing now with a lot of early 20 something high hormonal um, autistic guys who are it's just like a frat house,
Oh
and most of
boy.
the time I'm playing Dr. Phil. And how does that make you feel? You know what I mean? And just
Right.
like, and a lot of that is
Uh,
very, very mentally taxing,
oh yeah.
Yeah.
especially when they follow you around and consistently nonstop talk and ask you questions and doesn't give you a second to breathe. I go to the bathroom and then some of the guys will just stand outside the bathroom and wait for me to get out.
Jeez.
So,
Wow.
but as far as difficult, I don't find this job as difficult as I've had doing certain other things earlier in my life.
Yeah.
Um, but it does have its moments.
Yeah, for sure. What was the easiest job? Or is that like a collection of maybe multiple different aspects of
Um,
jobs?
well, for a summer, I worked at
Zao Island?
Zao Island. Yeah, I couldn't
Yeah.
think of the name of the place.
Oh
Yeah,
wow, you worked. I forgot about that.
yeah.
Yeah, you did the
I I,
go-karts,
I
right?
did.
Hell yeah,
Well,
you did.
I did everything there.
Oh.
I did everything there, but
Oh.
I did help build that go-kart track a little.
Okay.
Um,
So, for people that don't know, Zao Island is like a recreational center with go-karts, mini golf. arcade games. It's
Right.
batting cages. It's neat.
Hmm.
Yeah,
I think golf. What do you like? What do you call that? Like just
putt
you
putt.
get to hit a golf ball far.
Yeah, yeah.
Whatever. All right,
Putt
go
putt
ahead.
golf, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh
Oh
yeah,
yeah,
oh the drive range. The
The
driving
drive
range.
range. That's it.
yeah.
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 They have batting cages and stuff.
Oh yeah.
Hmm.
Um, that job wasn't really difficult. It was a lot of fun. Um, I worked with a lot of people that were my age, so we got to hang out and it was just it was a fun summer job to have.
Hmm.
As far, but the job that I have now also can be very easy. Like I get paid sometimes to take guys to see movies. Like earlier this year, I took a guy to go see Dune 2 in a theater, and I get paid
Oh,
for it.
nice.
Right.
So I can't complain. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
Right. I well, thank you because I used to get me. I just remembered you used to get me golf golf cart. Yes, a golf cart, not golf cart. What is go kart
Hmm.
tickets.
Oh yeah, no, I stole a bunch of those when I was.
Yeah.
Then they caught on and they put in like a shredding machine and I was like, I can't do that anymore.
I remember I gave a bunch to me and my friends, and because you gave a bunch to me, and I was like, guys, we go ride go karts at Zay Island, and we would go ride go karts for free. Uh, all right. What was the worst job?
What was the worst job?
Yeah.
Hmm. Probably working at Taco Bell.
I would agree. I think we would all agree actually on this panel.
Yeah.
So right after my first son was born, I had to get a job because I was like, it was right after like the 2008 recession, and I had lost a
Hmm.
job, and I had worked at Target for a little while, and you were there at that time, but they didn't decide to keep me because I was seasonal. Um,
Oh yeah.
and I needed something, right? So, um, Ray and Jamie got me a job working at Taco Bell, and the goal was to get me into a manager position, et cetera, et cetera. But like, I don't know, a month after I started working there, um, she got promoted to something else. And then they put in this
Mm.
lady who was probably the worst boss I've ever had, period.
Yeah.
And she made life a living hell there. Um, I just had to grin and bear it because I had a family to support. So, but I was
Mm.
so happy when I got to leave that job.
There's a
Oh, me
story
too.
that I hope that you share with funny stories about Taco Bell that I
Oh
remember
no,
that you told me. I'll remind you of it so that way you can possibly
please
share
do.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to.
I try to block out as much as that job as I can.
Right.
That's really funny is that it's probably true. I mean, Taco Bell was pretty bad.
Yeah.
I mean, it was not, I mean, the only fun I had there was at like 2 in the morning
Hmm.
when we were annoying the drunk people and
Yep.
listening to Bob and Bev at 80% volume.
Yep.
And it was
It
just
was
like,
great.
just the idea that we were just torturing other people
Yeah.
because it's,
Yeah, because Door Dashers would have to like come inside still and they'd have to wait on their order. And we hated Door Dashers. Fuck those people. And because most of them are pretty shitty people. At least they treat you like garbage. But so like we would basically be listening to garbage music like that, just blaring it, and they just had to grin and bear it if they wanted to get their money. So
right. You have to deal with us because we have to deal with you. This is the
exactly
trade-off.
that was our mentality.
Yeah.
And honestly, that was a good time. But behind all of it was just a grueling, horrible experience.
Yeah. What was the best job you ever had, John?
The best job?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I really like, for the most part, what I do now, but
Yeah.
also, I mean, I stuck with it almost, been there almost 12 years now. Um,
Mhm.
but I mean, Zao Island was a lot of fun.
Right.
That was, it
Oh
didn't
yeah.
feel like a job. It was just fun to go to, and
Right.
yeah, I had to do work and stuff, but like, I ate Burger King like every day. I actually lost a lot of weight working there because I was doing a lot of stuff outside and stuff.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so I don't
Good.
know. It was fun.
Good. How many coworkers became friends? Like any lifelong coworker friends that you still?
Any
talked to today?
lifelong coworker friend? Yeah. Excuse me. I made several at White Castle when I was like 18, 19.
Oh yeah.
And some of those people I still talked, well, like one or two maybe. I still talk to. And also people from Walmart when I worked at Walmart. A lot of those people I still have on Facebook, and they're just like Facebook acquaintances at this point.
Yeah.
Um, but I mean, as I got older, I stopped being as outgoing and a lot more to myself, just do my job and go home type deal.
Feel
Uh,
that, honestly.
so
Yeah.
currently at my current job, I've only made a few friends I could say, and yeah, I just try and keep to myself and my family, you know. So,
You ever, I'm sure I know you have. This is kind of a silly question, but because I know you have, but
The
have you
listeners
ever hung
don't.
out with coworkers outside of work?
oh yeah, all the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah. I just thought of a question now to add that we can all ask about. Do, does anybody have any good firing stories? Like you got fired. What, do you have any good like reason you got fired? Like something funny
Yeah.
happened? John, you want to go ahead with your White Castle one? Because that's what made me
Oh
think of it.
yeah, yeah. You know it, huh?
Yeah.
Ah, yeah.
I
So
don't know this one.
when I was working at good old White Castle, I was, a part-time employee. And but they would give me full-time hours, like a lot, because they just needed help. And
Mhm.
then it came down to like the slower part of the year, and this one lady who couldn't stand me was all of a sudden in charge of schedules. And I looked at the schedule, and I went from having like 4 days a week, or five, to like one for like 3 hours in the middle of the day. And I said, "What's up with this?" You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
why is it, and she goes, "Well, it's blah blah blah." She gave me all the excuses, and then
Mhm.
and I said, "Almost makes me feel like you guys think I'm expendable." She goes, "Well,
Yeah.
you are,
Oh,
like
Wow.
literally." And
yeah.
and so I went kind of around the corner a little bit, and I flipped her off through the wall. And one of my coworkers, I don't know who or somebody, saw me do it and told the manager. The manager went and looked at the camera, and she said, "Well, if you're flipping her off, you do it to all the rest of us." Blah blah blah, and they just fired me. And I'm like,
Oh.
okay. I'm I'm like, I come to work all the time. I'm always working. I don't call off,
Yeah.
basically, and I get my hours cut, and I'm upset about it. And you treat me like garbage, and I'm the bad guy.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? What do you
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
expect?
Yeah. Yep.
And and
Absolutely.
and they called me and they fired me. Um, I also got canned from Walmart too, but I don't
Um,
think there's a job that I've worked that I haven't got canned at. Oh no, no. Taco Bell, I quit. That was
yeah.
Right.
great.
Right.
But every other job, I think I've fired or well, no, I quit Zayo because I started working at Walmart.
Gotcha.
Right.
Yeah,
Uh,
everything else I just got fired or stopped showing up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nick, you got any good firing stories? Any stories that,
Um,
you know,
I've never been fired from a job.
Oh, jeez.
Um, but I have just either quit or not or stopped showing up.
gotcha.
I don't really have any like funny stories about quitting or not showing up. It's really just more like, you know, I've had enough of this crap. I'm done. I have better things to do. There's something better on the corner, that sort
Sure.
of thing.
Well, how about like, was there an event that made you just finally like, that's it, I'm not showing up anymore? Something like that. Or was it just a bunch of little
Um,
things that you were probably like, yeah, fuck it.
it's typically for most of them, it was definitely a collection of a bunch of little things that added up over time. But a
Yeah.
lot of it was never really about the customer. It was never really about the job itself. It always really had to do with coworkers or my bosses, right? It was like the way they treated the coworkers or the way they treated us, or even the way they treated the customers. Like at some point, I just got over it, and the fact that they are, higher ups, there's nothing I can do, there's nothing I can say. They have all the excuses in the world and blah, 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 blah. It's just, at some point, you got to just either throw in the towel because HR isn't going to do anything. They look after themselves.
Yeah.
You know, that sort of thing. So unfortunately, I don't really have anything funny. It's
That's
all a
okay.
little depressing.
Um, so for me, it's not really, I don't think I mean, I did get fired once, kind of, technically. I got laid off, is really what
Oh
happened.
yeah, yeah.
Um, so
That
like
was intentional though, right? Kind of, in a way.
well, that's the
Yeah.
story I'm gonna,
Oh,
yeah,
okay. Sorry. Yeah.
you're right. So like my first job, Subway, I put up a post-it note, "Dear Sue, I quit." Walmart, they didn't bring it back for seasonal, then they did, and then put me in frozen, and then my clutch went out of my car and a bunch of other things, and I just stopped showing up. Then I
Yeah.
went to it was just another one that I just did like the oh, then I got a job at the bank and or at a bank, I should say the bank, but a bank.
The bank, the
The
only
only
one, not
one.
only.
And now it's
Well,
gone.
No,
it is
it's gone.
Indiana. It could be the only one.
Yeah. I got a job at a bank and they got bought out. It was a family-owned bank, and they got bought out by a big corporate bank, and so a lot of branches got closed. I got moved back to my old branch, and they had everyone take a test, 2 week course or something like that, where you had to take a test, or maybe it was a week course. And at the end, you took this test, and if you passed the test, you kept your job. If you fail the test, you lose your job
Uh-oh.
essentially. And at that time, I was planning on moving to Austin, Texas. I had already paid for security deposit on an apartment. That was my whole thought. I was going to Austin. And uh, so I had really no intention of staying there anyway. I took this test. I went to that week class and I didn't study anything. I didn't bother to listen. I ignored what they said more than the entire time. I remember I looked up Michael Vick's like where like his I found out where his because he had a loan through that bank and he had recently gotten arrested for dog ring fighting, I think it was.
Right.
Anyway, I remember doing that during when I was supposed to be studying. Anyway, I intentionally failed the test, gave out ridiculous answers. Like I didn't just like there was like fill in the blank sort of deal. I can't remember what I can't remember what the guy's person I named. It doesn't matter. Yeah, there was somebody who was like who's the president of the bank. Like that's apparently an important detail for you to be able to do your job as a teller.
Right.
Um, and so I just put like like Richie Cunningham or something stupid.
Smokey the Bear.
Smokey the Bear, right? So at the end I failed the test, and they gave me a severance package. They pulled me into a room and they were like, "Hey Chris, just want to say that the results of your tests were unsatisfactory. We feel like you didn't try hard enough, but we're not just going to let you go without like giving you something. So we're going to give you a severance package, which is you're going to get paid for the next 3 months or something like that. Um, sorry, this had to end this way." And I was like, "Oh, that's all right." I was like, "I'm moving to Austin anyway. I don't care."
Right.
Just kind of walked out. My coworkers were sad. Lady Georgie, she was sad. She came up, gave me a hug before I even went in there. She knew what was happening. She found out they were firing me that morning. So she was real sad about it. But yeah, I was like, all right, I'm getting the hell out of here. And I had a hell of a good summer. Um, but I ended up not moving to Austin. But anyway, that's probably my best. I don't, yeah, that's it. Because I worked at Target and as close as I came to getting fired, I never actually did get fired. And I put in my 2 weeks, and I put in my 2 weeks at Taco Bell too. So yeah, that was it.
Was that Georgie lady that was that the same one that you threw matches at or something?
Yes, that was.
You have to tell that story later.
Oh, I know. I told that story for grumpier old men
Oh,
because that's where I got
That's
it
right.
from. So it's if you want to hear that story, people who are listening, that's on our what happened in the year 1995, I believe, um, or 96. Whatever year grumpier or old man, it might have been 96. What happened in year 96? So anyway, um, all right. So do you have any funny, crazy, or weird stories of coworker get-togethers?
uh, honestly, I can't think off the top of my head of coworker get-togethers that were crazy.
Yeah. Nothing really outrageous happened. Yeah, sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. Don't worry.
Nothing that we didn't do already every time we all hung out. So like maybe every time? I don't know, but I can't think of anything in particular.
Sure. Um, Ever date anyone from work? How did that work out? Are you still
Oh,
together?
Jesus Christ. Yes, I did.
How did that work out? Are you still together?
No. Thank fuck.
Two more questions in that.
Um,
In fact, we can just move
no,
along.
yeah. No, I dated one girl from um White Castle, which is like really briefly. It was like a week or two. Honestly, it was like briefly. And then I got into a 5-year relationship with a psycho from there. And she was all mentally and physically abusive and shit. And then I finally got out of that and life was good. But
Yeah,
I try to like just, not think about that part of my life.
Right.
Um
yeah, no problem.
don't
Uh,
don't date coworker anyway.
yeah. When you were younger, what did you want to do?
Oh, by the way, I also met my wife at work. Um
I figured you were going to mention her and just
yeah,
ignore the rest,
yeah.
but
No,
yeah,
but she's a good one. Like I
right.
gotta keep that one.
Right.
I figured, well, this
Um
is an easy answer for John.
yeah. Yeah, I married the one from Walmart who was
There you go. Yeah,
There
there
you
we
go.
go.
There you
he's a
go.
big weirdo like me, so it
So,
works.
so he kind of does retract that a little bit. You
Well,
could date your
you
coworkers from
could,
work,
yes, I was going to say,
because you
Well,
might end up
well,
marrying
we
them.
we we started off as friends with benefits, so
Okay.
you know,
only if you go straight to dating are you in trouble.
yeah. Just do friends with benefits for a little while,
Right.
test the water.
That's how
Then
you
you good.
know. Yeah, that's how you know.
Yeah.
Uh,
Incredible.
uh,
um.
Incredible.
excellent advice there. I'm glad we're really getting
Yeah.
digging in something deep. When you were younger, though, what did you want to do? Did you have something like dream job that you wanted to do when you were younger?
I was a nerd kid. I wanted to be a scientist of some sort.
Yeah. Any
And then,
specific science that you were interested in, or just
well,
whatever?
as a kid, I still kind of, have asthma and stuff. So I always wanted to like look into like a cure for that shit and whatever. But
Yeah,
I also liked like chemistry and stuff.
yeah.
But math's hard, and I don't like math. So
There you go. All right, so we're moving now into some deeper topics that John kind of touched upon when we asked him how was McDonald's. Yeah, do you have a plan for retirement? I believe you said that you were going to more than likely die at work.
Quote unquote. I believe you said quote unquote die at work.
um, sadly, that's probably what's going to happen. I would love to retire. I'd love to make it big somehow. I don't know.
Well, well
Win the
the
lottery is kind of the only point I got
I
going
see.
right
I was
now.
gonna say, do you have a plan?
No,
Yeah.
no, I really don't. Like my job, oh Jesus, one of the worst things about the job that I have now is the benefits are really kind of shitty.
Yeah,
Um, like the health insurance is pretty bad, and the 401k is pretty much 100% employee pay in. Like they'll match a little bit here and there,
Yikes.
but like they don't give you anything at all. It's
Ew.
all 100% voluntary. I have life insurance, so I mean, trees look good. Something anyway. Um, no, but no. Nah, I don't know. We're just gonna work and figure it out. I'd like to get to the point where you're just comfortable,
yeah.
and maybe I'll get hit by a truck or something, have disability, and it'll be good. But
That's literally been your plan. As far as I think that was on your intro when we asked you 10
I,
questions. That was
I
your,
mean, ever since Aaron got hit by a car and now he's like rich, I'm like, this seems doable. You know what
yeah,
I
just
mean?
stick
Like,
out your foot. Yeah,
yeah,
be in the wrong
Yeah.
place at the wrong time. Yeah.
yeah. No, I don't know. Like I said, I'm just gonna work and hopefully I find a job that isn't like, I don't know. I don't necessarily think I want to do what I'm doing for that now forever. Like,
Yeah.
but it's just
Okay.
what I have right now because I'm stuck in a house and I got to pay that off, et cetera, et cetera.
Gotcha. Okay.
But starting a new job is also very scary, right? So,
Absolutely. Especially when you've been
um,
somewhere for
yeah,
11, 12 years. I understand that totally.
yeah. Um,
Oh, sorry. You
Go
have
ahead.
more to
No,
add. Yeah.
I was
Okay. I was gonna say, what do you think of the viewpoint that people are forced to work until they're too old to enjoy life? The John's
I
face.
mean, yeah, that's the sad fact of it. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
um, retirement age was originally set up to be 55, which I think is reasonable, and
Yeah.
I think that's something that we should try to get back to.
Yeah.
But, when you have the federal government, good old Ronnie Reagan, digging into Social Security, and then, with all the inflation and things that aren't adjusted, for the differences in birth rates and death rates and people retiring and people still working or not working, like it doesn't equal out. And the sad fact is the people that are my age and younger, we're gonna have to work for a lot longer than our boomer parents ever did. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like they'll get to enjoy some of it, but like 55 should have been it. It should have been stuck with, and we should have done better as a country.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Do you know mom's plan for retirement? Do you know what it is? She told me.
it's probably follow Brittany somewhere. Whatever
Yeah,
it is.
well, that's part of it, I'm sure.
Like I'm sure she's moving to Pennsylvania sometime soon.
Yeah. I'm trying to get her to come to Indiana.
She won't do it.
Yeah, yeah.
Brittany's not there.
Right.
Well,
I know it's off topic, but yeah.
yep. So
Yep. Yeah, it is, man.
absolutely. Oh, someone's mic's kind of going goofy. Is that you, Nick?
Yeah, it is.
Is it?
Yeah.
It's good now, but it was kind of. We're gonna keep
Okay.
that in
That was
though,
real-
so people can hear.
That was a
Anyway,
really good impression.
yeah.
That's fine.
Thank you. So mom's plan for retirement is to die. That's her plan. That's what she told me.
It was very Christian of her.
She's like, she's like, Chris, I've been working all my life. I get it. I understand her desire to say, just I'm so sick and tired of doing this. I mean, we can all relate now at some point, a little bit. She's been doing it for a good deal longer than us, so
Mhm.
I understand. She's very, very close to the retirement age, but she plans on retiring like in 2 years or something, like beforehand. Like it's like
Right.
there's some sort of, and I was like, how much do you have saved? And she was like, $20,000. I was like, that's it? You only have $20,000 saved? She's like, yeah, that's pretty much Social Security or something. I was just like, huh.
Oh my God.
So you have no plan to retire for retirement. You're going to retire before the actual age for retirement, and your only amount of
Right.
money you have is 20K. And she said, with my luck, I'll live to 90. uh, she kind of sounds like
She's
John in
just
that regard. John,
she's just
you and
gonna
Yeah.
her have
move in
that.
with. She's just gonna move in with her sister. That's her plan.
Her sister?
With
With our
Brittany?
sister. With our
With-
sister.
oh,
Yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. Right. They're both probably will, right?
She's
That's
gonna-
kind of what
she's
I was
gonna-
thinking.
She's gonna put dad in a home, and she's gonna go live with Brittany.
She
That's
better
it.
not put dad in a home.
She will.
I don't think
She
she
can't
can
afford
to
it.
put that.
Yeah, she can't afford to put dad in a home.
He's
There's no
got
fucking way.
disability. That'll pay for it.
I think once he reaches retirement age, I don't know if it continues
Well,
or it like cuts off or something. That's what she was saying.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
I
not.
don't know.
It's also yeah.
I'm also not sure if a disability can help you pay for a home. There's got to be some sort of legality about that.
No, wait.
That seems like cheating the system a bit, doesn't it?
No, I mean that's exactly what basically pays for the guys that I look after.
Oh, I see.
Is
Interesting.
SSI? They get money in from the government.
Ah.
It's like Medicaid and stuff like
Oh,
that.
right.
Right.
Yeah,
Sure.
And their supplementary income stuff,
Yeah, that's it.
Right.
That's the
or
SSI.
pure, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that pays for like 70% of my company's services, and that's what pays my paycheck and pays for the house that they're in, and like all their bills and their groceries, et cetera, et cetera. The rest of it, we get through donations because it's a nonprofit company. But
Right.
yeah, dad, if dad is still able to get disability, it would, it's the same. He gets SSI.
Yeah,
Right.
That would pay for that.
yeah,
It'd probably be assisted living home. It wouldn't be a bad home. It'd be a home where he had nurses on staff 24/7
Sure.
and he could be there. And I mean, honestly, depending on the situation, mom could live with him. But
yeah.
when
This is
dad's out of the picture, because it will happen,
Yeah,
she will definitely just be with Brittany. She will move in with Brittany until she's gone.
for
yeah.
sure.
So
Um, yeah. So the do people need to work? Do people need to work in order to mentally function in a civilized society? Meaning, some retirees go back into the workforce because their life felt directionless, aimless. They often describe retirement as boring. Are we too conditioned now that we just feel like we have to work in some capacity?
I feel like, yeah, I like you have other countries around the world where they focus a lot on the well-being of their citizens and the labor that they do and all that other stuff. And when those people would quote unquote retire from their jobs in those countries, I mean, unless they really want to do it, they don't go back because they have a lot of other fulfilling things that they can do with their life, or
Hmm.
they're not like, worried about, is there going to be enough money for my medication? Is there going to be enough money for
Yeah.
paying my bills or my rent or whatever? Like other countries, a lot of different, those European countries that have a lot of better social structures for that. And the sad fact of the matter here is it is so abhorrently upside down that we retire, we are meant to live on scraps and still pay everything.
Yeah,
Um, and Medicaid and or Medicare only goes so far because they have a lot of stipulations because of how bad the healthcare system is. So, yeah, I mean, the sad fact of the matter is that people, when they retire in this country, um, do it out of necessity more than they do it out of probably boredom, I would have to say.
yeah,
Um, I mean, granted, there's going to be people that are workaholics, and if that's what they want to do with their life, then whatever. But like, when you don't have a social safety net that's functional,
yeah,
people are going to have to be forced to do that and go back to work, and it's ingrained in us from day one when we start working in this country.
Hmm. It's a sink or swim sort of thing
Yeah, it's
until the
it's
end.
it's a nostrils out of the water, float to you till the end. But yeah,
um, you're mostly sunk.
You're sinking. You're
yeah, yeah,
so you're just sinking
yeah.
basically.
You know,
So gradually and slowly.
yeah, you're going a few feet and jumping off the bottom and taking a big breath, and
I understand that's a really pessimistic kind of view, but
I'm
I mean
not
I'm
trying
sure
to
that
be
there's some.
pessimistic. Like
No, I
it's
understand, but I feel like there is some swimming involved, right?
well, sure, if you're
I
if
mean,
you're born into a rich family. I have a friend who his parents are very well off, and he's, I don't know, 19, 20 or something. Some guys I play like online games with, right?
right,
Um, his parents bought him a vending machine business, and that's what he does. That's his job. He's his own boss. His dad helps him a little bit. They've expanded, like kids well off. He's got, he has that in like he never had to do
yeah,
from the ground up. Like he was not a never work a day of his life in McDonald's. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
right,
And he'll never have the experience of a bad boss. I mean, he did other things. I know that he worked a different job, like an arborist, but fact that but that was just for a limited time, um, until his parents found him something, basically. But it's just like in this country, it's like people that are you know disenfranchised and on the low end of stuff or grew up in poor homes. It's not like pull yourself up by the bootstraps anymore. Like
right.
granted, there is some legitimacy to that, to people that are real go-getters, but even they
Yeah.
struggle for years
Oh yeah.
to do anything.
Hmm.
But it's just basically if you're well off in a well off family, you have a much higher chance of being well off in your life. You know what I
Sure,
mean? And
sure.
when you're born into lower middle class, you're more than likely going to stay there unless you get hit by a bus and live.
Right.
But I
Um,
mean, I
yeah,
mean that's just what it is, you know.
yeah.
Do you guys do a section on like what you would have done different?
Yes, it's probably my last question. It kind of
Okay.
pertains to that too.
Okay.
But I was gonna say there's two more questions. Actually, Nick had something he was gonna bring up earlier that he was hoping that you would bring up, but
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
it's
uh,
only if we get to the part of, let's share funny stories. So
yeah, that's coming up in like basically two questions. So the last
sure.
like part of the retirement section here is just there's also a financial aspect of retirement. Some were able to save more than others. Again, John basically answers like, yeah, so do you think about retirement? John does, but knows it's from what I've gathered here that it's not a pretty picture. And what you need to do in order to survive after you reach retirement age. Do you think about that more than you used to? Not at all the time. Is that
Um,
something you spend a lot of time on?
it's a nice thought.
Yeah.
It's a nice thought. Um, yeah, I'd love to have, a place with, with some land and out and just be able to do what I want and not have to, do kind of a semi off-grid type thing
Hmm.
and just kind of live in peace away from people because the
Yeah.
older I get, the more this like this I don't have the word for it now right now, but I just don't like people as much anymore as I used to.
How about
Um,
disdain for people, I
disdain,
guess.
thank you. Yeah.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, I mean, I would love to retire. I'd love to enjoy a few years of my life without having to go to work.
Yeah.
Well,
Um,
isn't the whole point to enjoy it now,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Because
I mean,
retirement doesn't isn't when life begins. Your life is now.
I
As
I make
cheesy
the
as that
most.
sounds, yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Um, I make the most of it now that I can. Like
Right.
work for me is kind of like a white noise type deal. It's something I do in order to pay the bills so that I can
Yeah.
actually enjoy the part of my life that is mine. You know
Oh,
what
well,
I
there you
mean?
go. Yeah, it sounds like you're
Um,
on on the right track, right?
so I work primarily weekends, right? So I have
Hmm.
long hours Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It's whole days where I really don't get to see my kids. But on top of that, I also have 4 days off every week.
Right.
And 4 days off
Yeah.
every week does wonders for your sanity.
For
Yeah.
sure.
Like,
Oh
I'll
yeah.
take the long hours, and then those 4 days, like, there's so much stuff that we can do with the kids
Yeah.
especially during the holidays and summer that we just couldn't do if I worked a 9 to 5
Right.
every single day and only had 2 days off. Like, because
Right.
if you do that, like, your 2 days off, your first day is just you resting. It's just you
Yeah.
catching up with
Right.
everything that you lost through the week. And then the second day is, do I have errands to do? What chores do I have to do? Oh crap, I have to go back to work tomorrow. And
Right.
like
So true, man.
it's not fun. And that just like that grinds people down. Like I honestly never want to go back to working 5 days a week ever again. Like,
Yeah.
That's what I do right now. Sometimes I work six,
oh God,
Right.
no.
doing that
That's
nine to
hell.
five.
I- it's hell, dude.
It's me and
It's hell.
Dolly.
It's
Yeah.
you and Dolly.
Um, all right, Nick, you got that question?
Yeah. So I was hoping that you would maybe talk about this really funny thing that you shared with me. It was when you worked at Taco Bell,
Hmm.
there was a pinball machine. That's
Yeah,
all I want to say.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I used to do closing, right? Taco
Mhm.
Bell, because it was the only way I could guarantee myself 40 hours there because the manager was
Nobody
a
wanted to
bitch.
close.
No, the
Yeah.
manager was just a bitch. She hated men.
Oh, oh.
Um, I was like one of 2 or 3 dudes that worked there. She fired every other man and replaced it
Yeah.
with women. She was
And
a
yeah,
yeah,
hold on before you continue. I just want to tell Chris that or remind him in case that this is that same Taco Bell that we
yeah.
worked at as well. So
Yes.
like as he's telling the story, you can actually picture the architecture of what he's like, because he's going to explain it, and it'll make so much more sense if you know the layout of the building. Go ahead, John.
So, so when we close, right? We would have to close the interior of the lobby,
Yeah.
and then the drive-through was open, and they would just throw me on drive-through all the time, right? But like I would watch for the time to close the lobby down, and we would always go by the bank marquee that was outside
Yeah.
off of Calumet there.
Pretty
Hmm.
accurate.
Right.
Because it was always faster than our time in the in the building. So like we would close like 2 minutes earlier than everyone else's time because we won't go by that time. You know what I mean? And so one of these times, I go out and some people come in like right before we close, and they just went in and used the bathroom. And I thought nothing of it. But I'm looking, and I look at the time of the clock, and then I'm going back and I'm taking orders, and I come back out and I'm looking at the time of the clock, and then finally go out and I lock all the doors, and then we do our shift. The shift ends, and then the next day, like one of the higher ups that like owns like the buildings and the company and stuff, he calls me into the office over there, and he's just like, "Our pinball machine was stolen last night," and I'm like. It was like that's something that was there that you never ever really noticed because no one ever did anything with it, and the
Right.
idiots never bolted it down to the ground so anyone could pick it up and do whatever. And it was on that side door towards where uh that bank clock is,
Yeah.
and he said no. He goes, I think you're in on it. I'm like excuse me, come
In
again.
on it.
I'm like I have a wife and a kid. Like, why would I want to steal a stupid pinball machine?
Right.
I'm like, I'm not like it's worthless. No one, you know what I mean? And to me anyway. And he's like, well, look over here. You're looking at over here and blah blah blah. Like, and the coast is clear. I'm like, I'm looking at the bank clock so I can close the door because it's faster. We can shut down a couple minutes earlier and save us the headache. And he's just like, oh, you sure? Blah blah blah. I'm like, dude, I wouldn't lie to you. Like
Yeah.
I have to work here because I need money for my wife and kid. I don't care about your pinball machine. Okay. You know what I mean? And I was just like, dude, he's like seriously blaming me
Yeah.
for being a lookout for people stealing a pinball machine that
Right.
no one used, no one noticed it was like run down. Like I don't even think it worked. I'm gonna be honest.
Right. Yeah.
But
Was
yeah,
it like a
so
pinball machine where you like hit something and get like a free taco?
I, I don't know, maybe. I
Hmm.
like I never even used it. It was just
Yeah.
like
Right.
honestly, it was like dusty. You know what I mean?
Kind
Like
of
nobody
kind of
touched
what?
it.
Yeah. Exactly. I
And
love how Larry David esque it is. How like
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
you were just at the wrong place at the wrong time, doing what you normally do, but it just so happened to look like you were on the lookout for these thieves, and that's such a funny story. Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
It was ridiculous,
Do you
dude.
remember the name
I
of the
just couldn't
guy?
believe him. Nah, hell no. I don't even know.
Was it
Some
Ken?
random guy that never ever showed up except for to blame me for stealing a pinball machine.
Right.
If I said his name, would you know it?
Nope.
Okay. I used to I once dated a girl whose like father was like the um I don't know. He was like a regional manager or something, or above the regional manager. So, like,
Assistant to the regional manager?
Yeah. Right. That's what I was thinking too.
remember that guy that used to come into Taco Bell all the time and talk to the manager that we worked at?
No.
Nick,
Um,
he would talk to Chris.
David?
Yeah. What
Yeah.
was his position?
He was the district manager,
Okay,
I
so I think
believe, right?
that's what this guy was. So her father was the district manager for the Taco Bells in the area. He like oversaw a number of
Hmm.
Taco Bells,
Yeah,
and he
that
hated
was
my
David.
guts. Man, he hated me. And yeah, it was something else. Uh, I don't remember much about him except that he had a like a mail order wife and a bunch of like Asian kids, and he had a really creepy basement that was filled with a bunch of like movies. It wasn't too bad, except he had like a bunch of like hentai and like weird shit down there. And
What the hell?
I mean, you got
yeah,
to spend that taco money on something.
he was a weird dude. He was a weird dude. Um, Yeah, and he hated me, so yeah, good for him. All right, so last question I've got, uh, and this kind of fit in with what you were saying, like doing something different, but any advice for someone entering the workforce, John? Do you have any advice for people besides don't do it?
Yeah.
Mo- Move to a different country where the laws are better and the jobs are better and the no I don't know how true it is now because I don't know if it's kept up the same, but when I was younger, just got out of high school, excuse me, I had a free ride to college, right? And mom's like, go to college, go to college, go to college. I don't even know what the hell I wanted to do.
Mm,
So I went there, I picked some random major thing, didn't care, stopped going, hated it because I couldn't stand school anyway because it was always too easy and boring and I just couldn't. And so what I really would have liked to have done is taken a year off to explore what it meant to not be in school, what it meant to actually have like
Hmm.
a job, and then also have other options. Like no one ever told me, "Hey, you can be an apprentice and join
yeah,
a union and all this other stuff and learn all these trades and trade schools and stuff." No one ever said that to me. They just said, "Go to college."
Right.
And
yeah,
a lot of kids that are my age and or kids, we're all out of people that did go to college. They're all out now. They have mountains of college school debt, you know.
Yeah.
And they probably had to change their major two or three times because
hmm
you go there and the counselor like, this is what's hot. We're doing this. You're gonna
mm,
get lots of jobs. Blah blah blah. Funnel 800 1,000 kids into one thing, and there's 10 jobs available for that.
yeah,
Hmm.
They didn't care. They're doing their job. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
10 kids made it. Oh, now the other 990 need to go back and learn something new. And then that one gets filled. So, like, by the time it's done, you've got an overabundance of people going to college for things that they might not necessarily wanted to do. They got mountains of debt. And then on the side, you've got a severe shortage in skilled labor
mm,
in like electrician and plumbing and carpentry and all that other stuff.
mm,
You know what I mean? And like
Hmm.
if I'd have known that, I would have went and done like electrician or something. You
yeah.
know what I mean? I could be way better off than I am now.
So would your advice then ultimately be something like, don't worry so much, don't think education is the only route. That
Yeah,
trades
like a
is just as good.
college education isn't the only route. Trades are just as good, sometimes better, in a lot of
Right.
cases.
Right.
And
I think that depends also geographically too, where you're
yeah,
at.
well,
You find it,
obviously,
Absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah.
just well,
Of
yeah,
yeah.
course.
yeah. So like
But
in this
I mean,
area, trades would probably be the way to go.
yeah,
Yeah.
they say that you should do something you love and you'll never feel like you work a day in your life. Okay, but when does that really honestly happen? Do something that you know isn't terrible, right?
Mm,
Yeah.
yeah,
Something that you can tolerate doing for either the majority or all of your life,
Hmm.
or a series of things that is like all kind of tied together with similar skill sets. Do something that's going to, you know, keep you above water, pay the bills, and you can live in a happy environment. You don't have to make millions.
mm,
Be happy in what you do in your life. Use work as a like I said earlier, like it's your white noise. It's where you go to collect a paycheck. You know what I mean? But
yeah,
if you can find something that's better than just shoving school down your throat, do that. If you don't have a full ride to college, and or maybe college isn't your thing, take a year off. Take a figure out what it is in life that is interesting to you. It doesn't have to be I want to do this for all of my life, but it's just something that is going to drive you to actually want to do something other than oh crap, you don't want that existential dread of waking up, oh God, I gotta go to work again. You know what I mean?
right,
Yes.
Like when I get up and I go to work on the weekends, I don't dislike my job. I don't
Yeah.
like being away from my house. You know what I
Yeah.
yeah,
mean?
yeah,
Yeah.
Like when I leave my house, I'm like, I just can't wait to get back home. It's not that I don't like what I do. What I do is all right. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like it's not horrible. It's not the best, but it's tolerable.
Yes.
And I have a lot of time where I have some downtime and I can just, watch Netflix and get paid for it or something.
Right.
But
Mhm.
like, it's like I said, it's do something that interests you in some regard and you can tolerate. And if it takes you a while to learn, then take that time because time is the one thing in life you don't get back.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
make the most of what you got.
All right.
it's good
Well,
advice.
there you go.
Yeah.
For your job, do you find that working with the mentally disabled, handicapped, whatever, do you find it more fulfilling in that regard that you're giving you know, like,
It can be. Yeah, it
yeah.
very much can be.
And I imagine that's got to be a draw that
It
helps
it it
make the
is.
job
It is. And then
worthwhile.
there's other times where, yeah, wondering if you have to call 911 this day because somebody's killing somebody else.
Yeah.
But I mean, it is what it is. Like it has its ups
Yeah.
and downs, just like any job. But yeah, it can be fulfilling. Like we have a gentleman that I can't say names because of HIPAA reasons, obviously, but
Sure.
Of
we'll
course.
we'll call him Bob. Bob came to us and he's a young fella and he's got the basic run of the mill problems that we all have, that they all have, like like autism, and
Hmm.
like people that are with us have to have like dual diagnoses, right? So they have to have like
Sure.
autism and something else, whatever. But he's got like a
Yeah.
little bit of a laundry list of things that he has. But he's a go-getter. He's a smart guy. He lives with and does the best that he can with what he's got. And when he first came to us, he was getting into trouble. He was stealing stuff from stores, and we take him out because he was nervous about where he was, and he was worried about fitting in and all that stuff. And he got in trouble with the police, but we worked through that. He's getting all this stuff, all these charges cleared for him now. Um, and this I'm gonna call him a kid because I'm 40, almost 42, and he's like 20.
Sure.
And this kid has turned his life around since he's been with us. He is now like, an outstanding member of the home. He's putting in efforts and helping wherever we want him or need him. He is, helping, run things, and he's, stepping up and being a leader and a teacher to his peers. And he's gained the freedom to be able to walk around in public now,
Oh,
by
nice.
himself without anybody. And he goes and he spends his money, and like, he in the 9 months, I think, that he's been with us. I think it's about 9 months. Yeah, or maybe a year. It's close. He he has just gone a complete 180 than what he was. Like when he first came to us, we were worried that he's just going to end up back in jail and we're not going to be able to
Yeah.
do anything for him. But no, it's like it's night and day, like black and white, complete difference. Like it's wonderful to see. And that's a big part of the draw for what I do. Um, you
That's
know,
really cool.
Would you
yeah.
Very
attribute that
cool.
to the entire staff? I imagine everybody chipping in, doing one thing. It kind of leads to, it takes a
Yeah, I
village to
mean,
raise a
yeah,
person.
yeah. No, I mean, the group of people that I work with at my job, um my boss was very by the book, white glove. I'm going to be the best boss, make an impression when he came to us.
Hmm.
And you had to walk on eggshells, and that has kind of stuck with me about him. So I can't fully trust him yet, but he himself has grown, and he's now to the point where he's like, oh, it is what it is, and he's mellowed out a lot.
Yeah.
and
Right.
and and the rest of the staff that works there with me, we're a good team. We communicate well. We have like one of the only homes in the organization that I work for that is like has a real true cohesion with a solid staff. That we're there all the time, and people don't really call off, and we work together, and we leave messages and communicate, which is something that's really hard in the company I work for. Their communication has always been abysmal, um, and it still suffers. But at least our group, we know that we do well,
Mhm.
but yeah, a lot of that. You know, if we didn't have the people that we have doing what we do, I mean, he would probably still be where he was at when he came to us. So
All right. All right. Sounds good. Very good. Thank you, John.
Yeah.
If you have anything else you want to add, if not, then we can call it a day. That was really good.
Yeah.
It was a mixture of it started off on down note.
Yeah.
Well,
And
that's my outlook on things. Like I joke, right?
oh, I
Because
know.
Yeah.
if like
Yeah.
Oh, we know.
laughter is the best medicine. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? If I can
Oh,
yeah.
laugh about it, then it is what it is. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Like that's
Yeah.
kind
I
of
get
like the motto of my generation now. It is what it is.
you. Yeah.
But
It
Right.
is what it
but
is.
but
Yeah.
if you can be happy, then it is what it is.
Yeah.
That is-
Mine's a bit more past tense. It was what it was.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It's over now.
Yeah.
No,
All
like I
right.
said, I like to have a happy go as best I can
Sure.
time with it so that
Yeah.
All right.
you can pass the tough times.
Absolutely. Well, yeah, if we're gonna be doing the year-end reviews of the 1970s, so if you want to join us for one of those, so we can try and
I would love to be there for 75.
75.
75 is the year I would love to be there
All right,
for.
we'll see if we can do that.
Yeah. We'll look for that.
Wouldn't be a particular movie that you would be interested in, but would it
Only
be
my favorite movie.
only the one?
But
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think
That
that'd be a good
hold
idea.
on. Doesn't have to happen to be Close Encounters, is it?
No, but that
No,
is a
that's
good one.
77.
Okay. I was gonna say because I just watched that movie the other day and it sucks, dude. I don't know what. I'm sorry. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, dude. It fucking sucks.
He's serious now.
I'm
He's
not
serious.
Are
kidding
you
you.
serious?
I am
Yeah, he's
serious,
serious.
dude. I watched it the other day and I was like, can't
I
wait to watch this
I don't know how
movie.
he drew this
And
conclusion, but
it,
yeah,
I don't know. I like it. I like that
yeah.
movie.
I think
Diner
give it
I'll have
Man.
another
to watch it
watch.
again.
Give it another watch. You won't be singing the praises. I swear.
All right.
Hey,
It
man,
didn't
it's
age
been a
well.
while.
Anyway, yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you guys. Thank you. And with that, I hope you enjoyed listening to our conversation and will join us again for another installment of History with Hersafat. Don't forget to hydrate, exercise, and to like and comment and subscribe to the podcast. All these things are essential for your health and well-being. Take care of yourselves and each other.